The truth about building a business that actually lasts, why most service-based businesses never make money, and how to make yours the exception. A free guide for coaches, consultants, creatives, and other service-based entrepreneurs who are done chasing quick wins. Written by Liz Block, coach, creator, and founder of the BFF Club, and narrated by me, Liz Block, and I'm looking forward to getting feedback from you on this guide. So, hey there, and welcome. If you're reading this, you're probably exhausted, not just tired, exhausted. That bone deep kind that comes from trying strategy after strategy, program after program, wondering why everyone else seems to get it while you're still here, refreshing your bank account and seeing the same disappointing numbers. You've invested thousands in business programs, followed the steps religiously, and you're still not where you thought you'd be by now. Meanwhile, your inbox is full of income screenshots from people who did it in 90 days. You're smart, you're capable, but something isn't clicking. You're starting to wonder if there's something wrong with you. There isn't. I see you. I was you. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was drowning in proven systems that weren't working. Every program ignores this one thing, but without it, you're doomed to repeat what you've already done. So grab a drink and dig in. And you can also grab the audio here, which you guys have done. So, hello. This guide will finally explain why you are where you are, and more importantly, how you can still build that business you want. But first, let me destroy the lie that's been keeping you stuck. Stop believing the fantasy, turning business dreams into revenue reality. If someone promised you you'd have a six-figure business in 90 days, they lied to you. Not because they're malicious, though some actually are, but because they're selling you what you want to hear instead of what you need to know. Here's what actually happens when smart people like you believe the instant success fairy tale. You invest $5,000 to $15,000 in a program. You follow the steps religiously, and by month 3, right when you should be gaining momentum and making all that money, you're drowning in what I call Larry Lizard drama. You know Larry, even if you don't. Here's your ancient primal brain, that panicked voice in your head screaming, "This isn't working. Everyone else is making money. What is wrong with me?" Nothing's wrong with you. You just got sold a timeline that exists only in marketing copy. And here's what no one tells you about these 90-day success stories. The truth about building real businesses. After years of coaching smart solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, course creators, and service providers, I've watched the same pattern repeat. The people who build sustainable, profitable businesses give themselves 12 to 18 months to do it right. Not because they're slow, because they're smart. They understand that anything worth building takes time to grow properly. Rush the foundation and the whole thing crumbles when life gets real. But here's what's fascinating. When you actually understand what you're building, the process becomes predictable. Let me show you what I mean. The simple truth about building any business. In the guide, there is a graphic which you can read, and it's helpful to give you this in an overview. So here's what every successful business comes down to: audience, sales, delivery. 3 simple things to build a business. Number 1, meet new people who have the problem you solve. Number 2, make an offer to help them. Number 3, help more than they ever expected. So that's it. Sounds super simple, right? But here's what really makes the difference. To do those 3 things consistently, you need to master what I call the Think, Plan, Prosper framework. Again, another graphic in the guide worth having a look at. Think. This is where we get Larry out of the driver's seat and into the back of the bus because you cannot execute strategies that terrify the person executing them. Plan. This is where your identity meets actual strategy. We're not just hoping you'll follow through. We're building systems that help you see in real time whether you're doing what you said you'd do and when you're not, you get to catch it fast and course correct. Prosper. This is where compound interest kicks in. The identity work makes the planning easier. The planning makes the actions more effective. The effective action builds more confidence, and suddenly prosperity isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Most programs skip the think part entirely because they assume you already believe you can do it. But here's what they don't get. If you believed, like truly believed, you could build a successful business, you actually wouldn't need their programs in the first place. You'd just be out there doing it. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, this sounds logical enough. So, why then are most programs ignoring that most important part? Let me show you what really happens when you try to build without the correct foundation. There's another graph which has the real timeline, 4 phases of sustainable business building. Forget everything you've been told about business timelines. Here's what actually happens when you build something that lasts. Months 1 to 3, they're actually for building and laying your foundation. And yes, at this point, it can feel like nothing truly is happening. By that, no money, no income, right? But that's absolutely normal. Months 3 to 9, you're starting to build your voice and gain more confidence. Sales at this point could be sporadic, but you're getting stronger. You're learning, you're growing, you're developing those skills. Months 9 to 12, things start to click. People start to know who you are and what you do. Referrals start happening. Months 12 to 18, you can scale. You're going to scale what is working and say no to what doesn't work. This is where the real money lies. Did you notice something? The first 6 months aren't actually about making money. They're about becoming the person who can make money consistently. You're probably thinking, Liz, I can't wait 18 months to make money. And I get it. Larry's probably screaming about bills and deadlines and that business loan payment you took out to pay for all those courses. That didn't quite work. But here's what nobody tells you about the people making money in month 3. They're usually making money from something completely different than what they set out to build, or this isn't their first rodeo. They've done it before. Now, those that didn't do it but are making money, maybe they just got desperate and took on clients who weren't an ideal fit. Maybe they lowered their prices so much they are now barely profitable. Or just maybe they got lucky. They met one connection who introduced them to a whole bunch. But here's the problem. They have no idea how to replicate it. It is not sustainable. And don't get me wrong, some money is better than no money when you're stressed about bills. And I am not saying you won't make any money along the way. You absolutely can and will and should pick up clients as you're building out this timeline. But here's the real question. When we take deliberate action to build a sustainable business, does it really matter when you make the money? Because if the money is guaranteed at month 13, do you really care that you didn't get any in month 1? Especially when you know you can always now create that money once you've got that solid foundation. This is the difference between making some money and building wealth. Wealth is the difference between finding coins in your couch cushions and having that reliable, sustainable paycheck. And speaking of foundations, let me tell you about the phase that determines everything else. Phase 1, the fundamentals. Who am I to think I can do this? Most programs assume you're confident, marketing savvy, and ready to hop on sales calls tomorrow. They hand you strategies like you're a business robot, not a human being who's never built a business before. And if you aren't already skilled up, here's what is likely happening in your head. Thoughts like, I don't know how to do this. Do I really have to be that visible? What if I fail? Remember, Larry, here's your lizard brain, your unconscious mind. That's the sum of everything you believe today and all your habits, routines, and patterns. And none of those things know anything about building a business, typically at least. So when you start out, Larry believes you can't build a business because you never have. He thinks it is not a good idea to be building a business. So this is why in the early stages, we need to focus on both the foundations we need to have in place to grow our businesses and who we need to be to do the work. How do we get Larry out of the driver's seat? Larry's middle name is Fear, and he's scared about so many different things. Doesn't want to be seen, doesn't want to make sales calls, technology, pricing, copywriting, marketing, promotion. The list is endless because building a business requires a whole bunch of new skills, new thoughts, and new routines. And let's not forget one of his favorite phrases, I don't know. Larry loves I don't know, loves that phrase because I don't know is basically his get out of jail free card. It's his permission slip to slip mentally out of the game, grab a pina colada, and leave you staring at your laptop screen wondering why you ever thought you could do this. Meanwhile, you're Googling how to build a business for the 47th time this week, falling down YouTube rabbit holes, and somehow ending up watching videos about how penguins sleep. Don't ask me how that happens because we've all been there, right? So we've got to tame that little lizard and get him from the driver's seat to the back of the bus. He's never going to leave you completely. I'm really sorry to tell you that. So this is why we need to learn to manage him. What we're actually going to be building in phase one, so months 1 through 3, is the following. Upgrading your operating system, your thoughts about what's possible for you. Building the mental muscle to believe you can figure things out, i.e., get Larry out of the driver's seat. Getting super clear on who you serve, not everyone with money, and believing you can actually help them. Identifying the specific problem you solve better than anyone else while doing the identity work to own that expertise, to believe in that expertise, to know without a shadow of a doubt you have it. Building basic systems that won't break when you start to scale. And developing your core offer and pricing structure without apologizing for your worth. So let's take a real world example. Take Isabel, a leadership coach with 20 plus years of corporate experience. She transformed dozens of struggling managers into confident leaders. But when it came to pricing her own services, well, Larry had a field day. Who are you to offer $2,000? Who are you to charge that? You don't even have an MBA. Sarah down the road has fancy certifications. What do you actually have? With that belief system, she found herself constantly spinning, procrastinating, and overthinking, and actually not being able to take sustainable steps forward. By month 3, after consistent identity work, she could confidently explain her value. I help mid-level managers become leaders their teams actually want to follow using frameworks I developed from 20 plus years in corporate experience and 6 years as a life and business coach. Same person, upgraded operating system. Here's where the most programs lose the plot. They assume you're starting with the entrepreneur confidence when you're actually starting with an employee mindset. They hand you a business plan template when what you really need is an identity upgrade. Here's what truly cracks me up. Larry's actually right. You do not know how to build a business yet because you've actually never done it before. That fear makes perfect sense. But instead of saying, okay, let's learn this step by step, they dump a 47-step marketing funnel on you and act shocked when you freeze up. It's like handing someone who's never driven a car before the keys to a Formula One race car and wondering why they don't want to get behind the wheel, or wondering why they're not driving at 300 miles an hour and just 10. They also perpetuate the myth that mindset work is fluffy, not needed, when it's actually the most practical thing you can do. Think about it. What's more practical? Spending 6 months fighting your own brain while trying to implement strategies, or spending 3 months getting your brain on your side so that the strategies actually work? What success looks like. You'll know phase one is working when that deer in headlights feeling when someone asks you, so what do you do, disappears. Instead of mumbling something about helping people with stuff, you can confidently say, I help overwhelmed managers become leaders their teams actually want to follow, and mean it. You stop prefacing everything with, I'm just starting out, but oh, I'm not yet an expert, or I'm not sure how to do that in that way. However, Larry's apologetic voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter and gets replaced by quiet confidence in what you bring to the table. And most importantly, when you hit a roadblock, your first thought isn't, I can't do this. It's, okay, how do I figure this out? And then you can actually figure it out. This helps you build evidence that you can do it, and more importantly, that you can handle whatever comes up. But here's where most people make crucial mistakes moving into phase two. They think because they've done the identity work, the content creation will be easy peasy. Plot twist, it's not. In fact, this is where many people hit their first wall.